Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports.
Welcome, everybody, to FanStream Sports, powered by DSP Media. This is the Fighting Irish Daily Blitz, and I'm your host, Rob Fidoff, also known as RPT. You can find me on Twitter at PFidoff. So for episode 61, the focus today is women's basketball from the previous week. It was another 2-0 week. Love that. No losses. The previous week was 2-0 as well. We had a nail-biter against Louisville on Thursday night. And today, Sunday, as I tape this, total domination. We beat Pitt at Pitt by 40 points. So I'm going to be focusing on the Louisville game because the Pitt game was just total domination. So Louisville comes in Thursday night to South Bend, 19-8 overall, 10-4 in the ACC. We're 20-4, 11-3 in the ACC. So had we lost this game, we'd be tied for second, third place, whatever you want to call it, with Louisville. But technically, since they have that head-to-head win, they'd be 2, we'd be 3. Kind of like what we have with Duke right now, because Duke lost that against Virginia Tech. They lost to Virginia Tech on Thursday night, 61-45. We're tied with them in the ACC right now. But technically, since they have the head-to-head matchup, they're, you can say, a half a game ahead of us. So it's not we're not fully in number one spot in the ACC is what I'm trying to say. So I didn't notice this as well before I get to the actual game. They had beaten us, Louisville, that is, 7 straight times prior to Thursday night, dating back to 2019. And they just haven't beaten us. They've been kicking our ass, more or less. Total domination in a lot of those games. However, we get the win. They're coached by Jeff Walls. I think you all remember him. Him and Coach McGraw had a lot of battles, especially with their handshakes. Could be quite animated. They were not best friends. Let's just put it that way. Very similar to the relationship with Gina Auriemma. It could be personal at times. Let's just put it bluntly. So we trail by 9 points in the first half, cut it to 4 at halftime. And actually, we go up by 2, but then we trail by 9 points with less than 10 minutes. I'm thinking this is over. It just looks like it's Louisville's night again. They have our number since 2019 with those 7 straight wins. However, we battle back. Great toughness tonight. This is probably the toughest game I've seen the ladies play, and they just battle back big time. We send it into overtime. We're up by 4. Cass Prosper gets fouled. If she just hits this free throw, we're up by 5. It's about 15 to 16 seconds left. I'm thinking, or no, it's around a little over 20 seconds left. I'm thinking this game's over. She misses it. They go down, get a quick bucket, tie it at 2 points. Olivia Miles gets the inbound pass. She's dribbling. She actually does get fouled, but they do not call it. She dribbles it out of bounds. Louisville gets it. They get another basket. So you think it was over about 10 seconds ago. Louisville comes back. Tough team in itself to tie the game. We call a timeout. With the women's game, if you do call a timeout, you can take the ball to half court. It's kind of like NBA rules. They get the ball to Olivia Miles. She drives me nuts at time with all her turnovers, but she makes a fall-away shot at the buzzer, very similar to, remember when Enrique Agunawable, I'm finally getting that name pronounced right, Enrique Agunawable hit those game winners in the 2018 Final Four against UConn in the semifinals and then against Mississippi State to win the national title 2 nights later. Very similar vibe when she hit that game winner. Just phenomenal performance by all the members of the women's team that night. They dug deep that night. They showed they're a tough team. It's not a team yet where if you take Muffet McGraw's team starting in, let's say, late 2011 when they were the national runner-up against Texas A&M, and then her 2012 team, 2013, 2014, 2015, and then if you take those 2018 and 2019 teams, if they weren't playing Connecticut, Baylor with Brittany Griner, maybe a Stanford, so maybe 3 or 4 teams, if they weren't playing those teams, they would just knock the crap out of the other teams. They would win by 20, 30 points. Nothing against Louisville, but they are 19-8. If this is those Muffet McGraw teams when they were just primed with that talent and experience, we'd beat this team by 20 points. We're not there yet, but we're getting closer. And that may be a year away. But this game, just with the toughness that we displayed and just to battle back and to come just to get that game winner, we found a way to win. Maybe this is the stepping stone, whether it's a March Madness run or next year when we get, I believe it's 2 McDonald's All Americans coming in. And with everybody, I shouldn't say everybody back because the transfer portal is such a big part of the both the men's game and the women's game right now. I think pretty much everybody's going to be back next year because a lot of these our best players are sophomores. Olivia Miles, Sonia Citron, and then Cass Prosper is only a freshman. KK Bransford, Lauren Ebo will probably be back. But there's always still that chance that they could enter the transfer portal. But if everything sets up the way I think it's going to be with no little hiccups here, this team's going to be loaded coming back next year. And I will want to see them just blow out teams that are not in the top 3-4 in the nation. Now it's South Carolina, your UConns, Indiana right now. So fingers crossed. So let's get back to the game. Olivia Miles with that game winner, 18 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists. She just missed a triple double. But here's where it's just that polarizing analysis for Olivia. I have every game, it seems. She had 6 turnovers. That's way too many. As a team, we had 17. I told you before, I'm going to keep track of that. Ever since the first of the year when we averaged 16.1, well, 17's more than 16.1. Unacceptable. We got the win, but the turnovers are unacceptable, especially with Olivia Miles with the 6. Kylie Watson played the best game she's played in a Notre Dame uniform. She's a transfer from Oregon, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 8 of 8 from the field goal, from shooting field goals, so 100%. She was 4 of 7 in free throws, but she hit 2 in a row in overtime, and she went up there with confidence. The others, I will say the only sort of criticism I had of her early free throws, she almost airballed it again. I told you before, she's 6'4". I can see her overshooting it, but not undershooting it when you're that tall. But I can't say it enough. That's her best game of the year. She's showing confidence. It's still a little bit unorthodox with that shot. She's pushing it a little bit more than I want to see. But man, when in that overtime and even right before overtime to tie the game up, Coach Ivy could see the size advantage that we had because just to take a step back, Lauren Ebo played for the first time in a month, more or less. She played 5 minutes, scored 2 points. But the thing was, even when Lauren Ebo went out, just with Kylie Watson, there was just such a big differential in height and side, and we just exploited that big time. And Kylie, I could see just that confidence building, and she knew it too. Just give me the ball and get out of my way, and I'm going to get some quick buckets here. And it got us into overtime, and it helped in overtime. And I loved what I saw at the free throw line for those 2 free throws. Confidence. I felt she wanted to be in that situation too. She wasn't trying to avoid the limelight or the pressure there. She wanted to be at the free throw line. Kylie Watson, great job. You get a big star for the week or 5 stars, or whatever you want to call it, because I know I've been hard on you big time. Very similar to what I've been doing to Dara Mabry before her injury. Kylie Watson, I know she didn't have the game-winning shot, but her performance really lifted this team to come back and to win this game, despite not having the game-winning shot. So KK Bransford, 10 points. Sonia Citron, 15 points. Maddie Westbell did not have the greatest game, 5 points. And those were in the last 2 minutes of regulation. She was scoreless until those last 2 minutes. But when we needed her, she showed up. Similar to Kylie Watson, she may struggle for game after game after game, but when we needed her, she showed up. Same thing with Maddie Westbelt in those last 5 minutes or last 2 minutes of regulation. Off the bench, the only criticism I had with any player was Nat Marshall. She seemed to take a step back against Louisville. She had just such a great game the previous week, and I was seeing that confidence from her, but it just took a step back. And I need to see that more from her. But when we get into the Pitt game, it seems like that confidence came back today. So that's a good thing here. But she's finding her, role because she didn't play that much before the Dara Mabry injury. But what I saw last week was so much better than what I saw at Louisville from the Louisville game. but she did, and I'll get into that later with the Pitt game. So Cass Prosper, 6 points, great energy again, but you've got to hit that free throw. If you hit that free throw in regulation to put us up by, or no, in overtime to put us up by 5, we don't have to have the dramatic game winner by Olivia Miles. We got to, when you have a team on the ropes, you have to put the nail in the coffin, is what I'm trying to say. Jenna Brown did not score off the bench, but she's given us solid minutes. Just like last week, solid minutes again. So I can't say enough about the tough, hard-nosed performance from this women's team. They found a way to win. They're not, knocking the crap out of teams. Like, this would be a team in the Muffet McGraw era that we would just annihilate them. I'm just happy with the win, but we need to get to that point to be a upper echelon team and a number 1 seed, because I still think at best right now we're a number 2 seed. As I mentioned earlier, Duke lost to Virginia Tech, so that put us in a tie in the ACC at 12-3, and then 21-4 overall. So today, Pittsburgh, it was at Pittsburgh. We barely beat them on February 9th, 69-63. That was another tough, grinded out type of game. Even though we're probably 20 points better than Pittsburgh, we end up winning 83-43. Couldn't watch this game today. They were on the ACC Network Extra, so I just watched highlights and then read the news article and looked at the stats. It was, from what I see here, it was pretty much domination. This was like what I want to see from this team with those mid sub-level type teams like Louisville was on Thursday night. This is the Muffet McGraw teams from 2012 to 2011 to probably 2015. We kind of had a little bit of rebuilding in those 2016, 2017 seasons. And then the 2018 national title team, 2019 national runner-up team. Yes, there was a couple times, I think it was probably, I'd say Miami upset us one time, maybe Florida State. But if it wasn't UConn or Baylor, we just knocked the shit out of them, just to put it bluntly. So we end up winning 83-43, as I mentioned earlier. We out-rebounded them 48-26. I can't say this enough. With the Dara Mabry injury, Coach Ivy knows there's a height advantage for most of the teams we're playing right now in the ACC. And for us to get into overtime to battle back against Louisville, she did that with Kylie Watson and with Lauren Ebo in the few minutes she played on Thursday against Louisville. We keep using our height advantage during the games, and I like to see that because we're going to need that to make a deep March Madness run. So let's see here. We only had 12 turnovers today. So Louisville, we had 17. Unacceptable. Today against at Pitt, on the road, only 12. That's what I want to see, between 10 and 12. That's doable for me going forward. I'd love to see it less, don't get me wrong, but 10 to 12, I'm okay with that. Looks like Lauren Ebo, she played the most minutes since her injury. 13 minutes, she had 10 points. Maddie Westbeld, 13.7 rebounds. Olivia Miles, 10 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. So borderline triple-double there. Sonia Citron, 13 points. Nat Marshall, as I told, how I was somewhat disappointed with her during the Louisville game. I didn't see that confidence that I saw the previous week with her. She had 9 points, so evidently that confidence is coming back again. And then Jenna Brown, she may not score when she's in, but she just gives us those solid, great, just playing a great floor game, just solid minutes. She scored 9 points today, so I love to see that, just everybody getting involved. Next action for the women's team this Thursday, 6 p.m. Unfortunately, it's on ACC Network Extra. Some of you do get that depending on what cable provider you have. I do not have that. I can't still figure out how to hook that up to my phone or to my laptop. Georgia Tech at Notre Dame, they're 13-14. This should be a blowout too. And if I'm Coach Ivy, even though a win is a win, I'm stressing I'm not considering this a win unless we beat this team by at least 20 points, just to kind of throw that extra fire into the mix, to not for this team to become complacent just because it's a inferior team that we're playing. We got to kind of spice it up a little bit to keep that, my movie reference, Eye of the Tiger, Rocky 3 reference right there. And then Sunday, to close out the year before ACC tournament, we're right around March Madness. We close out the season at Louisville, who's going to have revenge on their mind. And that's at noon on ESPN, who they're currently 20-9. So they won today after we had beat them. So that's going to be a tough game right now because that team has been a thorn in our side since 2019. We barely beat them on Thursday. We did find a way for them to win, but it's at Louisville. The crowd's going to be into the game. They're going to want some revenge. So that's going to be a pretty big test before we go into the ACC tournament and then into the regular March Madness tournament. So what else here? I can't say it enough, though, just to close out this podcast for episode 61. We're finding something in these games that we're grinding out. And with Lauren Ebo back now, it looks like she's going to be a full go. And Kylie Watson really having that confidence right now. We have a Twin Towers presence. No, it's not. I'm trying to think of a Twin Towers presence it's not a Ruth Riley. I don't even know who the other, tall player was at that time when they won it in 2001. Yeah, it's not the quality or the All-American I wouldn't consider, even though Lauren Ebo is a solid player, Kylie Watson's becoming a solid player. I wouldn't consider them All-Americans right now as a Ruth Riley type back in the day, but they're still pretty damn good when they use their size to their advantage. And if Olivia Miles can cut down on those turnovers, we don't have to rely on a 3-point shot. That's the thing too. That's what I like about the size differential. You take away Dara Mabry, this team really isn't. They can hit the three when they need to. Maddie Westfeld can, Sonia Citron, even Olivia Miles. But we don't have to rely on that 3-point shot. That was the thing with the great Muffet McGraw teams, except when they had Ruth Riley and even when they won it in 2018, 2019. Well, I take that back. They still, I think it was Marina Mabry, Dara's sister, they relied on her 3-point shot at times, and then Arika Gunawable, Jackie Young. They weren't the greatest 3-point shooters besides Mabry, but they did use that 3-point shot to their advantage. We don't have to with this team, and that's granted they're not on that same level right now. But if you don't have to rely on that 3-point shot and you have that inside game, that's even more. It's another thing that the other teams have to think of, and that's just a way to just battle back instead of relying on that 3-point shot. Because for so long, and let's just go back to those Muffet McGraw teams, if they didn't hit those 3-point shots, UConn could beat them, a Baylor could beat them because they had more size than Notre Dame. And then just going back to the men's game, for years, Coach Bray just relied on that 3-point shot for so many games. And yes, it won a lot of games for us, but if you go cold, it's a double-edged sword. So I'm really, even though I'd like to see that 3-point percentage increase a little bit more, I just love the inside presence that we have with Lauren Ebo, Kylie Watson, Sonia Citron can battle inside as well. And then with Nat Marshall, gain some confidences also. The sky is the limit for this team, but I just need to see the consistency going forward. Especially, I'm really interested to see how this Louisville game shapes out next Sunday and how we do in the ACC tournament. I'm still saying Sweet 16 at best right now, but I think if we win the ACC tournament or just get to the finals, I think we may have a number 2 seed as well with Duke. But right now, I still see we're 3 on the cusp of a number 2 seed. But Sweet 16 at best right now. But if we keep winning and make a strong showing at the ACC tournament, I think we can make a Final Four run. It's just, I still think this team, despite the great progress we made in the last 2 weeks, they may be a year away for making that deep run. And then once they do make that, this team's set up for I don't want to say a dynasty, but back-to-back Final Fours. So 2024, 2025, I see them competing for a national title. And possibly, hey, maybe they become a dynasty like those Muffet McGraw teams. So thank you so much for joining me for episode 61. And as always, go Irish.